Alright, you're with Al, and this is Chronicles of a Not Yet Champion Golfer. A little bit different this week. A little bit different, and then it's a bit serious, which is weird for me. But I'm in my swing garage, and this is probably the most disappointing part of the video, is it's lacking a bit of wildlife. The only thing it is spiders and cobwebs and stuff. To be fair, there's a chameleon over there. I'll show you in a bit. And I've got my mate Tiger and Valentina. Goats there. So it's a little bit different this week. I'm talking about what I've been doing technically because the weather's been awful. So I've been working pretty much solid 2 weeks technical work in here, which has been a bit of a blessing in disguise for me because I needed to work on that. So I had a lesson with my coach Scott Howarth a couple of weeks ago. I filmed the lesson, so I'll be putting bits of that into this video as well, so I'll give you an insight into the sort of stuff we work on. Talking a bit about the off-course things, so the mental stuff I've been working on, which is obviously the challenging bit for me. Some new bits of training I've been doing, putting that into my preparation, part of me golf preparation program. Just made that up, golf preparation program. GPP, oh f*** off. It's very serious, because I'm very serious these days. And on a serious note, actually, I'd like to thank everyone that subscribed recently, and for the ones that subscribed earlier that have continued to watch. It is much appreciated, and I really mean that. And actually, all the comments people make are great, and if you want to make comments at any time on any videos, any questions you've got, feel free, because what I can do is I can put them into like a Q&A, even if you've got some for the biff or anything. Down the line we can do a Q&A, I'll make notes of the questions people are asking, and I'll try and get them in a future video. So yeah, do that if you can. Keep subscribed. You can't keep subscribing. If you've already subscribed, you can't do it again, but if you haven't, if you could, that'd be great. And I'm just gonna get on with the video now. So yeah, technical talk, bosh, let's go. Right, I'll talk about what I'm doing technically. I'm doing what? Technically. I mean, there's 3 parts really. It's the backswing, transition, which is massive for me, and the follow through, but that all linked really. If I can get it in the right position, the backswing, the transition can be good, which means the club can path on the right way through the ball. So to start with, my backswing was very much like trying to get depth. So I was getting the club behind me, but in trying to get depth and width, I was almost standing up, so stretching into that position, which obviously puts me out of position into the downswing. Now, trying to get that depth because I want to try and keep it shallower, I was almost trying to do that in the backswing. Whereas you try and do that in the backswing, you create a backswing, downswing, you're going to do the opposite really. So I'm getting there, and then I'm going to get a little bit internal in the shoulder, and that's my bad move that really annoys me, is when it gets steep. I was always obsessed with getting the club like coming from in to out, like trackman numbers and stuff, and I was getting the numbers in to out, which I thought was right, but the way I was getting there wasn't effective. So I was getting in to out because it was steep and then backing up, and then the path is obviously in to out, but then I'd have to try and flip it to save it. That meant I was always relying massively on timing. So one day I could go out and shoot a really good score, and the next day I'd go and shoot a really bad score, and didn't really feel like I was swinging any different. Just my timing wasn't right. That's what we've addressed first of all, backswing.
First move was we didn't let this roll.
Yeah.
So forearm stays, it feels under, but it's actually quite neutral, because you saw the opposite. Keep the chest on top. That's it. Rotation. And keep arcing. Right, so to arc it for longer, you pull back.
No, I just do it, I just do it myself, yeah. Roughly whether it's stock jacks and what I've got in, what I've sold, etc.
So we've gone with trying to get not as rolling with the arms, trying to feel like the arms take the same path, so the arms still move in with rotation as I turn the body, but the club stays out. So almost feeling like the forearms roll the opposite way. It's that sort of feeling. I mean, that's a massive exaggeration, but that allows me to get it into the right position at the top of the backswing. And as you can see there, I've not lifted up. It's almost staying down, keeping the abs engaged, hips tucked underneath, as opposed to coming out on my posture and then trying to save it from there.
Actually feel like, to you, it'll feel like it's like this and over.
Okay.
Don't want any stretch at all. Do it again up to
So
the
I
top.
feel like it's more.
I won't touch your second-hand stuff. You sell it on eBay.
Keep the chest more on top. Yeah, so I don't want you to extend.
Yeah.
I want you to feel that this way. That's where you're going to feel like it's engaged in the abs. And the hips are back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's it. And then you just turn. Do it again up to the top. So what you do is you release your pelvis up like this, and everything stretches up.
Yeah.
So the pelvis doesn't turn on the tilt, it's always level for you.
Okay.
Because we want it to be in this angle as you start to rotate. And then everything can actually go up and back and left now from there if you wanted to. That's it. So see how left hip's down?
Yeah.
The left hip still stays down as you start the transition without turning. Then you can pull back up.
Is that shot then?
Yeah, that was at the top.
So that's the backswing, which I felt like in my last lesson, you know, sometimes you feel like it just clicks. I felt like that clicked with me really, and I think Scott was quite happy with what I was doing there, and it got us into a position where we could actually get it into a better position in transition and better through the ball.
Right, and then it's mass down. Yeah. So it's just this wrist, both of the wrists are doing this, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't, don't twist it, mate.
Okay.
Just that way, yeah. Yeah.
Now sometimes it only takes one thing, one little pointer, and it feels like, yeah, that's what I've got to feel. And this, for me, this was like kind of after the lesson with Scott. So transition, we were working on getting into that position at the top, and then start turning, almost start feeling like I'm rotating through to shallow it before I've got to the top of my backswing. You've got to be careful with that. And this is just for me. You know, I'm not saying this is for everyone. It's not, you know, the secret to golf. It's not. It's just a lesson that's specific to me to be able to shallow it. It's the main thing we were after on the way down. So I've been feeling like going back and start turning through, and that automatically shallows the club and gets my elbow coming in front, because that one stuck behind me is not the way I want. That pull down, which I've been stupidly trying to get for years, is pretty much been the wrong move for me. So it's more that move, and then I can actually just keep turning, the club can path on the right way through. This is where Scott's good with me, is because I message him videos of my swing quite often. I probably do his head in, to be fair, but he always comes back with something that's really useful for me and a feeling that I can get, and this is the one that clicked for me. So I go to the top, and the feeling for me then is feeling like, see how my right thumb is pointing to the sky? Try and get that right thumb then pointing behind me as I turn down. So it's up, start turning, right thumb points behind me. Now that's extreme, I'm never going to get it that, because that club face is massively open. But just feeling that left wrist, but I mean, that sort of takes care of itself, to be honest. I'm not going to get so deep into that. So it's up, start turning, thumb points behind. That's the feeling. Now into the follow through, that kind of takes care of itself.
You shouldn't feel like you go off the target. So like once you've hit, you should actually just feel like they don't go any further than that. So if this sort of like holds, when we said to you before that you throw it out,
Yeah.
if it stays the same,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying to you, this bit stays the same, scapula stays the same on this side.
It all just works.
Well, it'd go that way, wouldn't it, the arm? If you turn, it won't
Yeah.
go towards the net, would it?
No.
So it's not like,
Yeah,
like I said, it wouldn't be there, would it? Because if I pull it back in, and then keep turning, it's going in that direction.
They're the keys for me, getting it into a position where I can actually feel like I strike it, control the club face, and get the club in the position I want to be at. That's good. I like that. Stable throughout the follow through. I've not got to manipulate. I've not got to try and flip my hands.
Yes, mate. There you go.
You know, I'm not relying massively on timing. even if I'm not striking it great, I should always have a decent amount of club face control, which for me is, it's key to keeping it online. That's normally my main issue. To be honest, it's not normally ball striking that's the problem for me. It's just keeping the ball online.
It's funny though, isn't it? It's like you think about a swing. What makes the hands travel up and in? It's kind of the rotation of the body action.
Yeah, it's not just going.
It's lifting your arms and pulling your arms.
Yeah.
And it's the same on the way down. What's going to make the momentum come back into the hands and the club head? It's not this, Al, is it?
No, exactly.
It's this.
You've got to pull down.
So that's where you are now, mate.
That's when you see like most guys now when they're turning. It's like Scott said. This is behind the ankle, and it's almost like that leg's actually going.
Yeah.
As that one's.
Yeah.
But if you turn properly, that bit on the way through should happen by itself. You've got ground reaction force.
Yeah. Because you're going that way anyway.
You're actually doing, if you go like that, that's horizontal force, and you're actually doing that way. So you're pushing that direction.
Yeah.
As you start down.
Yeah.
So that can start pushing forwards.
Yeah. Which you'll see me finish kind of more that position, because the club has just followed the rotation of my body. I mean, you could still follow through, but you'll see that similar with Tommy Fleetwood. There's no, because it's followed the rotation of his body so well, after that, the completion of the follow through, he'll do it more with drive because there's so much more speed, but it's just momentum that takes it there. With the irons, you won't see it that often because that's the completion of his turn. Just kind of like a token follow through once it goes further. So it's building it up. I practice feeling, oh, nudge the ball, that had been a shot penalty there, so it's good, isn't it? First move away, continue to turn back. That's the transition. Turn it through, that was probably one of the best strokes I've done. Build it up again. Just a one stage backswing. Feel the transition. Through. And just keep gradually building it up. Slow swing. And then into a full swing, and I'll show you this in slow-mo as well so you can actually see if I am shallow in it. Put myself under pressure. So you see it's much less roll with the forearms here. Club head stays out in front of the hands. Gets to the top, it'll feel like the club's a little bit sort of standing up. Come on, change direction on the way down. Shallow. Oh, it's better. Still a bit pulled down with the elbow, but at this point I want to be a bit more open with the hips, but it's better than it has been. And the club exits below the shoulder, which again shows I'm not as flippy. It normally exits really high for me. And I wasn't actually sure that it was recording in slow-mo because I've had issues with that before. Last thing I need there is a close-up of my nose. So without overly confusing the issue, that's pretty much it, technical-wise, the things I've been working on. Hopefully the clips from Scott kind of show a little bit more what we are working on. You know, it was a 2-hour lesson, to be fair, and we keep building it up over time, and it's something that I've worked on for, well, probably, I've been seeing Scott over a year now, and it's something that I've really worked hard at, especially in here, and that's where the weather being so bad has kind of helped me out a bit, because it's allowed me to work on that technical aspect of the game that I really needed to be fair. And then the more I feel like I can do it in here, I need to take out on the course, see the ball flight, and then just learn to trust it. That's the next step, really, that takes a bit of time, but it feels as good as it's felt. The strike's really consistent, even on the swings where I'm building up, like bit by bit, I'm striking it good. There's one other little area that I work with in terms of technique, and I do this myself in my garage, and I do it in warming up all the time, is using the TRS, what's it called? TRS stick, is it called that? No, just a TRS, tour rotation system. Oh, dropped it. So this helps me make sure that I am always turning through it. If you're not turning through it, if you just use your hands, which is something I spoke about, flippy, Stick's just going to hit you, you're going to have a big bruise up your left side. You can see the more, I'm just trying not to hit the wall, the more I keep turning, keep opening the hips, that stick's nowhere near me. Missed the wall as well. So it's same feelings on working technique, keep turning. That stick shouldn't really, it can brush your side, but you just don't want it smashing you really, because it hurts for one, and it's not the swing you want. So back, and at first when I start using it, it feels a bit like robotic. I have to get into the rhythm and match it up, and that's something I think that's really good, is matching the body, arms and the club up. It all has to be in time, otherwise it feels a bit disjointed. So it's one of probably the best swing aid, and I'm not a massive fan of using loads of different swing aids, but it's probably one of the best I could say to use, especially in a warm-up, because it just gets you feeling that rotation all the time. Let's get on to the mental bit now. It should be fun. If you'd seen any of my old videos, I can tend to get distracted by things quite easily. Like if a pigeon flew past the window now or something, I'd probably get up and start trying to film it, and rightly so, because this is just as equally a wildlife show as it is a golf one. So I'm actually sat on a bucket at the moment. See, just like the right height to get my face in the camera. So I chose a bucket to sit on. Not the most comfortable, but I'm expecting it to break halfway through the video, to be fair. That's probably a decent reflection on getting distracted, isn't it? So I played in Portugal 3 weeks ago, played a pro-am out there, and hit it great in practice, great in between the rounds, great on the days off on the range, played well in the practice round. The tournament rounds, I did not play well, and I didn't feel comfortable. I felt really anxious over pretty much every shot, and you know, I'm under no illusion that playing a tournament you're going to feel the same way as you do in practice, because there's obviously a perceived greater consequence, which in reality the consequence isn't that big a deal, but you know, I'm still going to be able to play golf, I'm still able to go out and play, but it's just, to me, it means so much that it can get on top of me at times. So I'm fresh off a session today with a sports psychologist. I'm seeing a lad called Tom King, who works out on tour with quite a few of the players, and this is my second session with him. First one we did like a personality profile, which basically identifies the best way for me to approach the game. It's not the same for everyone. It's not like a blueprint book where it says, you know, do this, do that, be like Retief Goosen, because I'm not going to be like Retief Goosen, am I? You know what I mean? I'm not as laid back and chilled out on the golf course. Again, if you've seen my videos previous, you'd probably understand that. So it kind of identifies the areas that might be beneficial to me, the strengths I have and the bits that I need to work on. And then today was really good. You know, we did a bit of work with the focus band. So it goes around your head like this, like Bruce Lee on the driving range. But it shows when you're focused in on the target. It measures your brain waves and shows when you're focused in on the target. And to start with, I was like completely going through the motions in my routine. Completely, like just looking at the target. But when I'm looking at the target, I'm just scanning everything. So I look back at the ball, and actually in my head I'm seeing everything, all the trouble and everything, and I'm just thinking, not like on purpose thinking this, but in my head it's got all the different targets going through my head of like the pond and the out of bounds or whatever it is, and you stand there and you really struggle to hit a good shot. Towards the end of the session, I was so much better. That post, there's a post I can't do on the video because I filmed it on my phone, but there's a post on my Instagram which shows that, and the new routine where I can really focus in. It shows you the display of the brain active, what parts are actually working, the start and the finish, where it was at. It's really interesting. It's one of those sessions you come away and you feel really good about what you've done. I've got a lot of work to do on that front, but going forward, I feel really positive about the mental side of the game, and it'll take time. Working on anything mentally is the same as working on anything physically. It just takes time practicing it all the time. So my tendency is very much like ego orientated, and we're trying to get more towards mastery. So there's a scale: mastery, thinking, ego. I'm like here. I need to be here. For example, an ego-based statement would be rewards come from recognition of others and prize money, whereas the mastery would be rewards come from internal motivation and improvement. You know, whereas I'm very much score based, so whether I've been successful as whether I've shot a 67, regardless of how I played, and if I'm unsuccessful if I've shot 78, that's the measure for me. Even though I might have just got kind of lucky and shot 68, you know, got good bounces and stuff, but mentally I was really poor. And it's funny with the mental side, you know, you see a lot of top sportsmen struggling with that part to match expectation of what they want to do. I've been watching Formula One, Drive to Survive. I know it's a different sport completely, and consequence of that, if you make a mistake, is much different than if you make a mistake in golf. You know, the worst you're going to do is lose a golf ball. But there was an episode where they're talking about talking to Pierre Gasly, who had signed with Red Bull. He struggled mentally to sort of match the expectation of Red Bull. And then he dropped down. He went down to race for Toro Rosso and had better results because I think the pressure's not as high. He could just let himself perform to his own ability. And that's all I want from golf, really, is to be able to perform to my own potential, allow myself, not get in my own way, that I can actually play as well as I think that I can, whatever level that might be at. So I'm very fidgety sat here talking about mentality of golf. So yeah, I know that's only short, not giving you loads of info on the mental side because you can go so deep into it, but there's a couple of books actually that are really good to read to do with mentality. Stillness is the Key, that one, and also by Ryan Holiday, Ego is the Enemy. That pretty much covers it for the mentality of the game. As I say, I've got ongoing work to do on that, and I can do that in my garage and really start to work on routine and get really deep into my focus on target rather than being, oh, what's that? What's going on here? There's a pond. Oh, there's a pigeon. Oh, wonder what fish is in there. What's that swan doing? You know, like stuff like that. That's literally, oh, don't hit it out of bounds. Oh, wow, what was that plane doing? Wonder where that plane's been. So the physical training side of the game, I've changed it up a little bit. I've mixed it up. Still doing my strength training in the gym a lot. I've added in a bit of yoga and a bit more stretching, trying to get myself a bit more mobile, a bit more flexible. Watch this though. Look. Oh. Touching the floor. It's not bad, is it? I used to be able to get to about there and not get any further, so now, granted that's not like, doesn't mean I'm going to be amazing at golf, but it's a start, isn't it? I'm talking about Pierre Gasly, by the way. Last thing you want in the middle of a yoga class is to get Pierre Gasly. That's embarrassing. So just make sure you've cleared yourself before you go to a yoga class. It's a bit gross. So I've been working with a lad called Lee Brogan, who specialises in yoga but strength training as well. He's given me a program to do strength-wise for golf, but he's given me a couple of, well, we've done more than what we've got on this video, but one's a warm-up you can do before you go out and play. Just gets yourself ready, gets yourself, your range of motion, your rotation, upper and lower body, ready to go out and play, and it makes a massive difference. It only takes sort of 5 minutes. A lungey lunge to start with, into a bit of rotation as well, obviously specific for the golf swing. Look how much I rotate there. Go on now. Open that knee out as well, opens the hips. This one's horrendous. So hamstrings and hips, I'm rubbish at this. I need to lift my chest more. And then again, just a bit more rotation. Everyone's staring at you on the first tee by now, by the way, but when you rip it down the first, just say you should have warmed up. And you're probably not going to do these on the first tee, to be honest. Save this to the locker room when no one's looking. Normal push-up exercise keeps you warm with rotation. If I go on the first tee now and just hit a shot, I'm terrible. Like, I really need to warm up. So I feel like I need to hit 100 balls. Now, this just little stretching routine to start with, I can do that, get on the tee and feel like I've hit 100 balls. It makes such a difference. The second part of it is just a little, kind of a yoga thing you can do at home on your own. And these are just a few moves that, no, these are just a few flows. Yoga expert, aren't I? That me and Lee did in this session. A lot of it's tailored to fix a few things that I've got going on. So I have like a little curve in the bottom of my spine, which affects my posture. Shoulders are a bit rounded. So a lot of the exercises are corrective measures as much as improving my golf swing. So from doing this sort of training every morning, I felt a lot better going on the golf course. But it's something that I'm going to continue doing, adding more moves in. I was actually saying to Lee at this point how he can get his legs straight and I can't. It's just because I've got tight hamstrings, but the more I do it, I'm going to increase my own flexibility. It just gives you an idea of the things that you can do yourself, just as a start to get yourself a bit more flexible, a bit more mobile. And for me, a massive focus was on the hips, because I struggled to get through the ball properly with my hips. That was always an issue for me. And what I mean by that, the separation between my hips and my upper body was always difficult for me to get, so I'd get very much lateral. Left shoulder would get high, and then I'd have to flip the hands. Whereas I want to be able to feel like the hips can turn without the upper body going. That allows me to keep the club square through impact. And you'll see at impact now, I am much more, hips much more open than they have been before. I'll hit one actually. Oh, no glove. I know that's fast, but on the slow-mo video before, you probably see that my hips are actually open to the target. When it's impact, I could never really get it in that position. So a lot of focus on the hip flexors and rotation. So like I said before, I know it was a bit serious, a bit different for me really, but it's just a bit of an insight into what I've been doing when the weather's rubbish, and if it can give you some ideas of what you can do sort of when you can't get on the golf course, then brilliant. And if you've got any questions or anything like that, fire away, just leave them in the comments and I'll always do my best to get back to you, even if it's to do with your own technique, the stuff I'm working on. Whatever it is, just let me know, because I know the things I'm working on aren't necessarily going to work for someone else. It's just the things at the moment that I need to do. So yeah, anyone that's subscribed in the past, again, thanks. And if you could subscribe if you haven't already, that'd really help me out. And there's loads of other little buttons like the like one or anything like that, just click them all, that'd be great. Apart from the dislike one, don't click that one. The chameleon, I promised you the wildlife, didn't I? There you go, chameleon there. His name isn't Ray. Ray was my dad's name, and there is old racing leathers. So if you've got a name for the chameleon, then you can comment that as well. Apart from that, I think I'm done, so I'm going to carry on whacking balls in here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Tuesday.